We're so glad you're here tonight. I'm Rebecca Murray, and I'm going to lay out the roadmap for our next 90 minutes together. But before I do that, I'd like to know, what is one thing that you came here for? One thing that you hope to learn, one thing that you hope to bring back to infuse in your own presentations, bring back to your club. I'd love to know the one thing that you came here for this evening, what you're hoping to get out of this evening, besides fun. I mean, that's a given. Okay, given. We'll let our fingers do the talking on the first part, and then we'll let our voices do the talking on the second part. Well, you'll let your voices do the talking. Inspiration. Okay, that is a given too, because you're all going to inspire each other. You're all going to share ideas with each other. I want to use more dialogue easily. You'll all have opportunities to try out some of these skills and stretch maybe a little beyond your comfort zone, because that's really what it takes to get good at this, and having that come more easily is just to be daring, basically. Make speech more memorable. Yes, you will. Universal humor, more emotion. Oh, dialogue is so good for the emotion. Pulling out the humor, pulling out the emotion. That is excellent. So keep that one thing in mind, and you'll absorb those little bits. Take notes. We also have a handout that we will be sharing with you at the end that covers the salient points of the first part of our session. Lindy is first going to share how she took her third place winning world champion 2020 speech, and you'll hear parts of it. She's going to share how she shifted from narration to dialogue to bring all the characters to life, which is why she won. Then I'm going to introduce you to a few ways that I have used characters. I'm going to introduce you to 6 different characters this evening, and reveal the purpose behind them and the method of my madness. And my husband will agree, it is the method of the madness. And then you come on stage. We have some really fun improv-y type of exercises for you to do in breakout rooms. We'll have a few of those. They're super fun. Then we'll come back together, and we're going to do more of an elevated improv opportunity, and you will be able to raise your hand to say, yes, put me center stage. I want to try my hand at that. So that is totally optional, but I guarantee you, after your breakout room exercises, you'll be very, very warmed up, and there will be many of you who will have an opportunity to take part in this fun. We call them, what do we call them, Lindy? Scenarios. Yes. Scenarios. And you have to say it just like that. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce my friend, my sister from another mister, Lindy MacLaine.
Thank you, Rebecca. Oh, I'm so excited to be here with you tonight. This is sharing the tool that was most transformative for me in my journey from beginning speaker to being on the world championship stage. And you can do this too. And that's why you're here, I know. So changing narrative from dialogue to dialogue, what does that mean? What do those terms mean? I'm going to talk about them just a little in case you're thinking, what is she talking about? When you open a book and you see paragraphs without any quotation, that is narrative. That might be describing the scene. It might be talking about a person's inner thoughts. It might be helping you experience their feelings. It might be any number of things, but it's usually in past tense. It might be in first or third person, but it's usually in past tense. Dialogue, on the other hand, are those parts that have quotation marks. Someone is talking. You've probably all seen at least one book where there was way too much dialogue. couple pages in a row of conversation, and you're thinking, who the heck is talking? I can't keep track of this. That's no good. You don't want to do that to your audience, obviously. In fact, I try to limit to 2 characters at a time, myself and someone else. Occasionally I'll do 3, but I would recommend against trying to do any more than that at once on your stage. You already put in the chat why this is important. It's for making things more engaging. You know, when you start to talk on your speech, people are sitting back on their couch, right? You want a way to have them lean forward into you right away. You want them to get emotionally engaged. You want them to be able to relate to what you're saying. And character and dialogue are a big help in doing that. You know to start story out, boom, start speeches out, boom, with a story. And if you have character and dialogue in that, it becomes that much more engaging. The other reason is time. 5 to 7 minutes, that's short, right? That's not that many words. It's about 700 words if you've built in space to pause along the way. You know how hard it is to take your idea and get it to fit inside this box, right? And how to cut it and make it smaller. Now, using dialogue is one way to do that, and it's very useful in that way too. That's what it is. That's why. Now let's talk about how. And as Rebecca said, I'm going to do that by demonstrating using my winning speech of 2020. I'm going to first do it as a narrative, and then I'm going to go back and do it the way that I ultimately did it. Let me give you a little background on the speech for those of you who might not have been a Toastmaster yet, or who just weren't tuned in that year to the World Championship, which is perfectly fine. The speech is called Your Buried Story. And your buried story is that story that you don't want to tell anyone because you're afraid of what someone will think if you do. I returned from being an exchange student in Peru at age 16. It was an incredibly impactful and difficult, wonderful, marvelous, horrible, awful, you know, that kind of year where it was everything. But I got home, things happened, and I lost touch completely. This was not the digital age. I couldn't go on Facebook and find them. I had lost touch. And as the years went by, although I felt nostalgic for those times, it became my buried story. I didn't talk about it. I felt more and more ashamed of having lost touch. Then came Toastmasters. Toastmasters gives the opportunity to speak, right? And you have to find different topics. Eventually, Peru came up and I started to talk about it. It became the subject matter for my 2018 contest speech. In preparing for a contest speech, you deliver it over and over and over. And it was in that process, here we go, that my Peruvian family came alive in my mind. There was my Peruvian father, a multiple entrepreneur. He was, among other things, a dairy farmer. He always wore cowboy boots. He had thick glasses. He was generally kind of serious. I might call him a philosopher cowboy. Of all the family, he was the one I could count on most to keep me on the straight and narrow for Spanish, to correct what I was saying, to make sure that I was learning things right. Then there was my Peruvian mother. Now, she was from Lima. And when you're from Lima, you talk like this, you really don't move your lips very much and you talk really fast. So it took me a while to learn to understand her. Still, when I call her on the phone, I have to close my eyes and concentrate because it's really fast. She had a habit that embarrassed me and enchanted me. She would brag about me in public. She did this about all her children, but I am from the Midwest. Any of you from the Midwest? In the Midwest, in the United States, you don't brag ever, 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 ever. So getting bragged about publicly was kind of horrifying and kind of wonderful. Then there were 4 children. Marilu, 13. I was 16. 3 years is a lot of difference at that age. She always had her nose in everything. She kept asking me questions about song lyrics or things. What did this mean? And usually it was something I did not want to translate. But she was great fun. Makes everybody laugh, was the life of the party, really. Then there was Dante, 12. He had a sparkle in his eye, just charming. He could charm the world with that sparkle. Talia was 6, a whirlwind. She was a force to be reckoned with. She wanted to be center stage all the time. She resented the fact that I was there using up some of the time and attention. And finally, there was baby Gonzalito, who was a 1.5 years old, and he was learning how to walk. And he had great big brown eyes. He was perfectly lovely. That's narrative, guys. How many of you wondered when I was going to stop talking about my family members? Go ahead. Yeah. It goes on and on and on. Not very useful. You get a lot of extra details, but it doesn't matter that much. So now I'm going to do it the way that I ended up doing it. My Peruvian family came alive in my mind. My father, Lindy, buenos dias. No, buenos dias. My mother, meet my American daughter. She sings soprano and she dances ballet. Marilu, dance, Lindy, para bailar la bamba. Dante, age 12, with a sparkle in his eye that could conquer the world. Talia, age 6, who expressed her feelings for me as only a 6-year-old can. And baby Gonzalito, a 1.5 years, great big brown eyes, just learning to walk. All right, how long would you guess the first one was? How much time? Put it in the chat. Yeah, like 5 minutes, 4 minutes. I love it. Okay. It was probably about 2 minutes. And it seemed like it lasted forever. So I got that and I understand. How long do you think the second one was? Right in there. It was about 55 seconds. So it cut it in half at least. Which one did you find more engaging? And if you say the first one, I might as well go home right now. All right, well, good. The second one. All right, so now, so you can see that it's not changing everything. I did the youngest 2 children in narrative anyway. And I just used portions of it in dialogue to give you a sense of the character, a sense of the relationship. And there's nothing that tells you about a relationship like this, right? Let me take a minute and talk about the mechanics of eye contact when it comes to character and dialogue. And I'm talking about when you're the speaker and you're doing multiple characters, not when you're doing like we're going to do improv with someone else, but just when you are 2 different characters. As a speaker, you now know, after all this time on camera, that the way to make connection with the audience is to maintain eye contact with the camera. You're one-on-one with every audience member that way. It's very powerful. However, when you become a character, it's like going to the theater. Characters are on their own stage. And in the theater, for the most part, there's what's called the fourth wall. The characters are living their life without, supposedly, knowing that there's an audience sitting right there watching them. Of course, there are exceptions. There are asides where people talk to the audience and so forth. But for the most part, that's called the fourth wall. So when you bring characters into things, they are not aware of the audience. So they don't look at the camera. They look at the person they're talking to. In order to not spend all your time moving back and forth like this, you stand in one place. You turn about 45 degrees to the side and you pick a spot. Now, if they're shorter than you, you look down. If they're taller than you, you look up. and you memorize where that spot is so you can come back to that same spot when you do that character again. And then you do the opposite on the other side for the other person. And if you're a child, you don't have to go down like this. You just change your eye focus. So if you're the parent, you look down. You're the child, you look up, right? Okay. I wanted to give you that about eye contact because that's useful as you go forward. Let's move on to talk about the 4 Ps. And this is when Rebecca comes on screen with me and gets spotlighted because she's got the beautiful slides. The 4 Ps of character persona: posture, pitch, position, and purpose. I'm going to talk briefly about the first 3. They're fairly simple. And then Rebecca is going to include purpose in her presentation. Posture, that's simply how you hold your body, right? Tells you a lot about a person. If they stand like this, it tells you one thing. If they stand like this, it tells you something else. So posture is how you hold your body language. Pitch, vocal variety. And you add accents because that's one way of differentiating your own voice from a character, is to give them an accent. Position. Now that really, again, is just what I was describing. Where is the other character in relation to you? So are they shorter or are they taller? So it has to do mostly with eye contact. It also has to do with remembering where they are. If you're talking to someone over here, you don't suddenly want to talk to that same person on the other side of you. So keeping the person in the same position is helpful. What could you tell about, well, that's not a useful question. I was going to ask about the characters in my speech, but you heard the narrative version too. So that's not a very useful question right now. So remember, posture, pitch, and position. We'll come back to that as we're looking at some of Rebecca's characters. And now I get to bring on the person who I love to laugh with, Rebecca Murray.
Hey, here we are. What I'm going to show you are a few ways that I have infused characters into my presentations and some of my professional work as well. So let's start off with a speech where I'm my own character. You know, sometimes it's the voice in our head that needs to come out. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like that voice in my head is actually another person, a friend that I talk to. My husband's always complaining, like, you're talking to me, you're talking to yourself, you're talking to dogs, who you talking to? So in this particular case, I was thinking about, this was right after, this was last year when I entered the speech contest and I didn't even place. Okay. I thought I had this awesome presentation and didn't even place. I wasn't quite devastated, but this idea of what does it mean to win kept circling in my head because I felt like I won. I felt like a winner, even though Toastmasters, the judges said, no, actually, in this case, you're not a winner. And so what I did is I started thinking back to all the times in my life where I did something that was really scary, where just by doing it, I felt like a winner, even though I didn't win. And one of these times was running a race. So what I did is I dressed like a jogger. Take my glasses off here. And this is one of those masks, you know, that you can for COVID, but I'm going to use it like a jogger might here. Here, I'm going to push my hair up and make it look really great. Here we go. All right. So this is what I did and this is it. You can use this in person if you're meeting in person in your clubs. You know, you go to the Toastmaster, you come in as a character, and you tell the Toastmaster, I want you to introduce me, and I'm going to leave the door cracked. And as soon as I hear my name, I'm going to jog in or I'm going to come in as a character. It's really easy, of course, to do it in the virtual world. So what I did was I went off camera. I had the Toastmaster introduce me, and here's how it looked. Running my first 5K. Oh, hey, oh, wow, they're going fast. Well, I'm almost there. Oh, here comes someone. Hey, do you know what time? Oh, hey, wow, man, they just left me in the dust. Whew. Can see the finish line up ahead. I'm going to give it my best. Here I go. Done. There's nobody here but me. I am dead last. But you know what? I finished and I know what my time is. So next time I come, I'm just going to try to beat that time. I totally feel like a winner. Now, if this were you and you came in dead last, how would you feel? Like a winner or a loser? The answer to that question is up to you. And it depends on you making that decision before you even start. So that's basically how I started that speech, was just to draw everybody in the scenario that's fairly common. A lot of people run. And then I go into the rest of the content about winning and losing. It was Fall Forward to Embrace Your Inner Winner was the title of that particular speech. Now I'm going to give you a couple of scenes from where did I put my jacket? Oh, here it is. Oh, and here's just a little pro tip that if you do this, so I ended up taking this jacket off and I had a dress underneath. And of course, in a virtual setting, you can just put your clothes right here. I have done this in front of an audience where I've come in and taken off a jacket or taken off part of a wig and other things. And I've just let them fall to the floor. And I'll just tell you that disturbs a lot of people. Like, don't pretend, don't throw your things on the floor, have a place to put them. So that's a pro tip for you. If you do this sort of thing where you come in as a character, even if the character is yourself and you're letting your audience know what's going on inside your head, which is dialogue, then have a place to put your stuff. The next thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you a little video. And it is a compilation of characters. So you'll get, and then I'm going to just briefly talk to you about why I created each of these characters, what their purpose was, and the method of my madness. So here we go.
Listen, what are you doing later tonight?
I'm going to be busy.
Cause bragging is a girl's best friend. Brag girl. Wait, what's happening here? Oh, what's going on? What's going on? Maybe it's on this piece of paper here. Oh, grocery list. No. All right, maybe it's farther down. My name is Brenda Sue. How do you do? Now, I know you're all expecting Rebecca tonight, but she's a little bit busy in the dressing room, so she asked me to come out here and warm y'all up. Is that all right? You need warmed up?
The smoke cleared. The figure appeared, and she said, "Never fear." Actually, she said, "Don't be afraid," but that didn't rhyme.
Well, hopefully I'll see you around. I'm going to go back into the closet. I'm going back into the closet. My goodness, she's become pushy in her old age. Goodbye. Oh, my goodness. Well, hello. Now, I know you have your cameras off, but I can see you anyway because my name is Mrs. Kia, spelled K-I-A, stands for know it all. And yes, I do. And today, Rebecca has asked me because she says she's not very good at math, but don't let it erode your confidence, Rebecca. Rule number 1, you're not good at everything. Buy a calculator.
I'm kind of a ladies' man, the aqua velveeta kind of man. Did I have a new girlfriend? Would you like to know about my new girlfriend, Doreen, everybody? Yeah, Doreen has this thing for amusement parks, okay? So we go to this amusement park. We're on the big roller coaster. We call that the Big Dipper. She's screaming her head off. Ah! Ah! We get off the ride, and she goes, "Dave, WTF?" I say, "Doreen, what are you saying?" She says, "Wasn't that fun?" Oh, Doreen, You had me worried there for a second.
All right. Which was your favorite character of those? The old lady at first, her name is Mildred, by the way, Mildred Cooper. Then we saw Marilyn. Of course, we all know Marilyn. There was Brenda Sue, the story of Annie Oakley. The last person, Dave. Okay. Oh my gosh, look at that. Everyone loves Dave. Dave is just awesome. Yes, Brenda Sue. Okay, Shauna likes Brenda Sue. All right, I'll tell you I want to see more Annie Oakley. Oh, great. The math lady. You know, it's funny. Men love the math lady. Isn't that interesting? Dave. Okay, I think Dave wins the day. So that first one, this is where, and we're gonna talk more about this in a moment, but sometimes these ideas will come into your head of like, how can I switch this up? How can I make this speech or my table topics opportunity as table topics master? How can I switch it up and just go outside the box a little bit? And then this other voice comes in and it says, that was a great idea, but don't do it because you might make a fool out of yourself. It may not go well. People may not like it, you know, all this kind of stuff. The doubt just starts, you know, flooding in, and you're like, yeah, you're right. Too uncomfortable. I'm just going to play it safe. Every single one of these, I went through that. Every single one, every single time. And people are always surprised to hear that. Like, wow, you seem so confident. You just seem to, this is normal. This is normal for some of the Hollywood. I mean, not some of the Hollywood actors. Any Hollywood actor will tell you that they have all of this doubt and anxiety before everything that they do. This is normal. So the goal then is to, or the challenge is to overcome it and just do it anyway, and do it for you so that you can make that your win. You make that your win, that moment of courage that you did something out of the box. So that first one that you saw, that was on a stage in front of 350 people here at a local big theater. It was for Rob Martin's retirement party. And no one in this entire community had ever seen me do anything like that. I'm always behind stage. I'm the one doing the camera. I'm the one prepping the speakers. I'm the one making sure the microphones work. And I said to myself, I had this crazy idea, like, you should just dress up like, it was his retirement thing. So I had this theme of, this is your life, Rob Martin. You know, you should just dress up like his fifth grade teacher and come on as his fifth grade teacher and just make up this character. And no, I will be a laughing stock in front of this community. And the day before was when I went to Rite Aid and bought my baggy pantyhose and my chain for the glasses and went to the thrift store, and I just did it. And, you know, it wasn't perfect because that's not the goal, but it was fun and it was memorable and everybody had a great time. And that's what helped me do more of these, although it took the pandemic really to help me, you know, trapped in here with myself. I'm like, I've just got to make up some more characters. So I started doing some more characters, and Toastmasters is a really safe place to practice this stuff. So a lot of these characters are metaphors. You know, the gal with the blue wig, her name is Shame. So she embodies that feeling that I just talked about, that, you know, she's best friends with doubt. And she's like, oh, you should just give up now. Go back to the starting line. That's where you belong. Then Brenda Sue, she opened last year at the conference for me because I was late getting out of the dressing room, as you heard. And she's fun, but she's also a metaphor. She's the metaphor for when we're always apologizing for everything. She has this problem, like she's getting over, I'm sorry, I'm awesome. I'm sorry, I'm late. I'm sorry about my hair. I'm sorry. Let's just quit saying I'm sorry. So she's working on that. And then the last year, there was a club that did this Western theme, like Western storytelling theme. So I said, I'll sign up. And then I bought some books on Annie Oakley and started studying her character. And I said, you know what, I'm going to come as Reba, the campfire queen, but Reba tells the story about Annie Oakley rising from the ashes while they're sitting around this campfire, and Annie comes through Reba. So, it was a great opportunity to learn about somebody from history and bring that character to life before the eyes of the audience. So think about that. If there's somebody from history that inspires you, how can you become that character and not just tell about the character, but have the character tell about their life through you? And then Disco Dave, he's just for fun. In fact, during that pandemic, again, I had this idea and I said, I want to switch up table topics. So what Dave is a DJ. And so, but he always gets the words mixed up because he's dyslexic. He has dyslexia. So he comes to table topics, and I don't know how this is going to go. I really think that people might not like this Dave character, but I'm committed to it. I keep my camera off. They introduce me, and here's Dave. And so he's like, so today we're going to be singing songs. I've got some you're gonna be singing these songs, and how about this one? Have you ever heard of this song? Wear pants on Zoom. It's a 70s hit. It's a hit. So Stephanie Hooper. Stephanie was in the I call on somebody in the audience and I go, you sing us some of that song, and that was the table topic. So for trying to sing for 1 minute, just making up crazy words, and it gives people permission to be silly. It's like, welcome to the silly zone. So that's what these characters help me. They inspire me. They help me tell stories, and it's fun. It's fun for me, and I think most of the time it's fun for the audience too. And it certainly is memorable.